Now, Mc Nally, tell us about the Order of Malta.
Well, the Order of Malta is a very old organisation, going way back over 900 years to Jerusalem, and in 1050 it was founded in Jerusalem, and they built a church there, and in 1113 then the Pope Paschal approved of it, and it went on from there. And then they moved from Jerusalem to Rhodes in 1310, and they stayed there for quite a while, and they moved from that in 1530ish, and they left. They were expelled there by Napoleon from Malta, and they took their permanent home in Rome after that. And it was founded mainly to support people who are impoverished, who are ill, displaced, refugees, leprosy, and it took up people in. They put people, I should say, in different countries around the world to look after those type of people, particularly war zones and places like that.
It's in a lot of countries, isn't it?
It's in over 120 countries worldwide, maybe even more than that now.
And a lot of volunteers.
And there's over 80,000 volunteers, and over 30,000 medical people. And there would be, in some countries, there's like Germany, that would be supported by the government of that country, and they would have a lot of very good equipment. They would have helicopters and ambulances and operating theatres that they can be mobile within a few minutes to a major disaster. So they're in different countries, they take on different roles. In France, there's no Order of Malta. It's the Knights of Malta, and you have to have royal blood to be a member of it in France, and it is all over France. It's mainly a Catholic organisation, and going back into the Crusades and the Knights Hospitallers, they had to take a vow of poverty, chastity and obedience. So down through the years it has changed its type, if you like, to suit the occasion. And here in Ireland we have the Knights of Malta, and we also have the Order of Malta, which are the people on the ground that you'll see at different events throughout the country. And they do various things. In Drogheda now they have a place there where they look after the disabled people, and it's a kind of a workshop for disabled. And in Dublin they have lunch clubs and so on, and then you'll see them at big events like in Croke Park or in Lansdowne Road or the Aviva Stadium as it is now. And they do a lot of charitable work and community work in those places, and also the ambulances that they have in those towns and cities are used for moving people from homes and so on. In some areas they do frontline work as well. And
what's the difference between the Knights and the Order?
Well, the Knights are an organisation that look after the Order, if you like. They help out with the funding of the Order, and they have their own meetings and so on. They're really responsible for organising the pilgrimage to Lourdes and Knock and places like that.
Are they a management kind of a group?
More or less. They would be of different levels, Knights, Hospitallers, and different roles within the Knights of Malta. And they would attend meetings in Rome, and they'd meet the Grand Master and all this kind of thing, you know.
They have some extraordinary powers for a voluntary organisation, haven't they?
They have, yeah. I suppose basically the Order of Malta are just a charitable organisation, and then the Knights are a different organisation beside them, if you like, and they are
They can issue passports, can they?
They can issue passports in Rome because they're living in a state, and that is where the Grand Master resides. So they have another different role there. But going back centuries, the Knights were a very secretive organisation, and they had a lot of. They've done a lot of work, charitable work throughout the world. Then the Order of Malta was founded here in Galway in the early 1900s, and then it came came north from Galway to Westport around 1943, where it was formed to assist the pilgrimages that were on Croagh Patrick in July and other times during the year. And there was a great need because there was a lot of injuries in those years, and there was very few people in the Order of Malta, so they brought in units from other areas, and they used wooden stretchers to bring them down. So a unit, say from Galway, they often told me would have to go up and down Croagh Patrick on numerous occasions, that as they went up and down so many times that hardly fit to move their hands, they carried so much. So as time went on, then the units increased throughout the country, and from, I suppose, 1960 onwards, you had a lot of, or in the 60s I should say, you had a lot of units turning up to Westport to assist with the pilgrimage day. From at that time it was on Saturday and Sunday morning, so then it changed to Sundays only, and you started climbing late at night and into the morning, around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. The main actions happened right through the day, then till 5, 6, 7 o'clock on Sunday evening.
Who were the main founders in Westport? Do you know who they were?
Well, the main two people that were at the top at the time were Dr. Moran, who was a general practitioner here in Westport at the time, and that was in 1943, and he was ably assisted by Willie Lyons, who was the officer in charge in that initial unit. And the other people that were involved at that time were Pat McKevley, Jim Ward, James O'Connell, and who was the other one? Can't think of the other one.
And who were the main guys that came after them then?
I suppose
their successors, yeah.
I suppose Dr. Farrell would have been one of the most prominent following that, and then Peter Flanagan, Frank Gill, people like that came along, and then they had quite a lot of volunteers.
What's the local manager called, or commander, or
the officer in charge?
The officer, that's the call of the officer in charge. Yeah.
It's always done by an officer in charge.
And who's the current officer in charge?
The current officer in charge is Eamon Burry.
And who was back? Do you know who the officers in charge back along the line? Prior to that,
going backwards, it was Patricia Gibbons before that, then David Fahey, then myself, then Brian Morden, I think, was before that, and then Peter Flanagan, and then Frank Gill before that, and I think Willie Lyons before that.
And that's nearly the whole lot of them, yeah?
That's the whole lot of them off the top of my head now. Might be missing one, but I don't think I am.
And how many members do you have presently?
At the present moment, it would be around the 20.
That's the usual number, is it?
It goes up. Like at this moment in time, voluntary organisations aren't the favour of the month, and it's not as good as it was going back over the years.
It used to give a great ambulance service here over the years.
Well, the ambulance service is fantastic, going back, say, 10 years ago, but unfortunately, due to a lot of rules being brought in by the various organisations, particularly FEC, it's impossible to have people now to do ambulance duties because there's so much rules and regulations involved in it. So you have to have EMTs and paramedics and all that kind of thing. But you cannot go out with an ambulance now unless you have 2 AMTs on it. So it's quite difficult to get people to do that and then give their time to doing it.
So has your role been reduced a lot?
the role in that instance is reduced. In the situation of frontline ambulance work, it's reduced, but it's not reduced where there is plenty of work in any town for an Order of Malta unit to do community work and so on, and that can be a very rewarding exercise. To look after the people in the town, help people that are carry people safe from old folks' homes, and work like that can be very rewarding, and it's required within a community. And then, of course, you have education of people in first aid, CPR, and so on. That's big work as well, and right across the whole country, that's done very at a high degree by the Order of Malta, as well as teaching defibrillator classes, and of course doing in-house training for companies, occupational first aid, which is very big now. Every company must have people on their role that can carry out occupational first aid. So that's a big thing for the Order of Malta, and has been for many years.
And how are you funded?
By voluntary donations. The people of the locality usually get behind the unit and give them great support. And in this town, we have had great support from the Lions Club and other organisations. That the Gardening Club were brilliant to us going back years, and a lot of organisations got behind us and gave us quite a lot of money. Hence the fact that we were able to renovate the building over the last few months to look a fabulous structure at the moment.
Okay.